Hey guys, welcome back to Dizzy Duke's Homestead. Today I went into my hive to make sure my queen got out of her candy box and to check on the sugar feeders, refill them, and just kind of see what activity was going on. So they were really calm. Actually, I feel like the smoke kind of upset them more. And earlier that day, they had pulled the rubber band out to the front of the frame. So I thought she honestly was already out of her candy box. And because that rubber band was gone, I couldn't remember which frame she was in. So here I am looking, and then as you can see, all the bees kind of came out. And they're still looking, and oh, there's her box. It was kind of difficult. They had glued her in with some beeswax, and luckily I still had that black tab, so I was able to pull her off with a little yank, and there's the box. And it's definitely a learning experience trying to figure out what to do with your hands and be mindful and cautious of all the bees on the frames flying around you and trying not to squish them. Luckily, my husband was really patient with me and helped me out along the way. It was also extremely bright where I was standing, so it was very hard to see what was going on in that little box. And that is when I noticed that she had not eaten her way out. She still had quite a bit of candy left. And I wasn't sure if I needed to take that cork out from the other side and dump her out, but then I remembered I could drop her on the ground and I didn't want that. So I asked my husband to go ahead and get me a rubber band, and I just stuck her back in. There's the candy, and she is in there with some of the nurse bees. And as you can see, they're almost there, I think. Not quite sure. Candy still looks kind of thick from the outside. And so I'm just trying to figure out which frame again it was on. And there's the rubber band. And it's kind of cool. They do just kind of brush and move along. I definitely forgot my bee brush that you can use to lightly brush them away. But they were pretty good using the rubber band and kind of moving them around. Definitely wanted to try to put her back in the same spot she was in. And again, it's a lot more difficult doing it this way than when I first started because of all the crawling bees. And I did not get stung, so I was pretty happy with that. And my husband didn't get stung either, so win-win. Alright, looks like she's secure and good. And you can kind of see they're starting to build some wax foundation, some honeycomb on there. And then I'll show you the wax on that frame that they did on that queen box. Which is just amazing to me that they're just filling everything in and making sure, just doing their little job. And there I was squeezing, making sure to not violate that bee space, putting my inner cover back on, and trying not to squish all the ones from underneath. And then put the other one on, put the lid on, and then I'm going to go and fill my sugar feeders and then come back. Alright, I have my sugar feeders filled and just putting them back in the box. And the reason why that one right there has a little bit of yellow on the bottom of the rim, I used that as a double broiler to melt my beeswax to coat my foundations before I got my bees. And I just couldn't get all of it off. And those are wide mouth bee feeders, and that jar is a wide mouth, and it was my only one I had. So I had to use it. Alright. Here is the blue hive, and I thought for sure since the first one she hadn't eaten through it, then this one wasn't eaten through, and the rubber band had not been chewed through and pulled out, so I had same expectations, and they were pretty calm too, not as upset as I thought they would be. But since that rubber band was still on there, this one was definitely easier to find, and I remembered my bee brush. And because there's so many bees crawling around, it looks like there might have been something in there. but I realized she had actually chewed her way out. So I went ahead, took that rubber band off, and then I took the queen box out. And there it is, empty. And you can kind of see, I like actually having the black foundations because you can really see the amount of honeycomb that they had started to build already. And it just amazes me. They've only have been in that hive for 3 days. So there I was just lightly brushing, trying to see if I could find her. And they were still really, really calm. I was very surprised. It was decently warm. And I believe I did find her. She was kind of in that corner. So there, I'm just trying to check in, seeing what's going on. I talked to my friend Jenene, and I told her that I noticed they had some pollen in there, as you can see. And she said that's really good. It means they're going out and they're foraging, which is really good to hear because that's why I wanted my bees, is to go forage and help pollinate my garden and all of my vegetables I have planted. So I'm just going in, squishing the stuff together, making sure that bee space is good. And again, it's still a learning experience trying to maneuver and not squish anyone. So I'm just going to go and check my sugar feeders and refill them. And that's when I noticed that on one of the sugar feeders, the bees had started to build some honeycomb on the edge, and I'm not quite sure why. I did the Google research, and they said it's because they have an abundance of food, and especially the sugar water makes them want to build the beeswax, and that's what it's for. And that's why we give it to them. But overall, the inspection went really, really well, and I was really surprised with what I found and the differences between the 2 hive boxes. But thank you for joining me, and on Tuesday I'm going to go back in and check that green hive and take the queen box out, and if she's not all the way out, I'll just release her. Thank you guys for joining me.